Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am A. Ron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review the show on your favorite platform. We truly appreciate your feedback and would be honored if you shared the podcast with friends and family who might benefit. If you want to support us in our mission, please click on the link in the show description. Today, my guest is Wynn Charles. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on. And for those of you who think, what is this stranger doing on Lon's show? Um, my name is Wynn. I am a motivational speaker. I have cerebral palsy being my main condition, and I was mainstreamed throughout my whole life. I worked throughout my whole life too in typical jobs. And so I'm here today to talk about my inclusion story.
That's awesome. You told me a little bit about yourself already, so thank you for that. So, just a little background on me. I have two children. My firstborn is a son. My second is a daughter. Her name is Cece. She is 22. She has cerebral palsy, epilepsy, uses a wheelchair to get around. So,
Oh boy, you've got it all.
yeah, we got it
You've
all
got
for
it
sure.
all.
Yes, I do. Yeah, and for me, I didn't really know anything about disability before she was born, and we found out she had epilepsy first. So I didn't really know anything, and just kind of went along with what the school said and what everybody was saying. And for her, that was going to a segregated classroom across town because of her needs. That's where the program was for her. So once we found out about inclusion, tried to get her back in with her peers, which was kind of a battle. Her whole school it took so many different small steps to get her back, which was frustrating. But that's kind of a quick version of my story. So I am familiar with cerebral palsy, just related to kind of her, her experience with it. So that's pretty cool. I'm so happy you're on.
Well, I have ataxia spastic cerebral palsy. I also have a brand new back that I totally got redone 6 months ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
now I have rods in my back slash screws in my back.
Nice. So before we started recording, you said you live in Arizona. Have you always lived in Arizona, or?
Nope.
Okay.
No, sir. No, sir. I moved down here. Part of my story is I moved down here because I lost both my mom and dad. I lost my mom in 2010. I lost my dad in 2019.
Okay.
So I am an orphan, even though I don't call myself an orphan. I am an orphan, but I live independently in a community built for people with disabilities.
Okay. Where did you live before
And
you lived in Arizona?
I lived in Aspen, Colorado.
Oh, nice. I've been to Colorado a couple times. You're very beautiful there.
Very beautiful, but very expensive.
Yes. I can see that, yeah, for sure. So yeah, my first question for you is going to be, what is your definition of inclusion?
My definition of inclusion is involving everyone. The, the Episcopal Church says in their tagline is all are welcome. And the reason why I say that is because all welcome the disabled, the able bodied, kids, grandparents, all welcome. So my definition of inclusion is we don't single anyone out. We include them the best we can.
For sure. So you said that you were always mainstream in school. Did I catch that
Yes,
correctly? Okay.
I was always mainstreamed in school. I didn't even know what a special needs classroom was until I got into high school.
Really? Well, that's awesome.
I went to a private school,
Okay.
which private school was the best thing ever. And so I was put in the classes with my able-bodied classmates.
Right. So were you in a private school all the way through 12th grade, or?
I was in the private school up until 8th grade.
Okay.
And then I went to the public school that might as well have been a private school
Okay.
because it was bigger, but the way Aspen plays out in the public schooling system, they have money behind it.
Oh, okay. So it's well funded, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. It's well funded.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
did you have an IEP then when you went to public school or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I had IEP. Did they follow it? No, they tried to the best they can, but
Right.
they didn't know what to do with a chatterbox who could walk inside, who was bored of school, quite honestly.
Sure.
Quite honestly, school and me did not get along because of, and I publicly admit that, school and me do not get along because of my disability. So school and college and me didn't get along either.
Right. Is that because you weren't provided with what you needed to be successful, or just overall, it just you and school just don't get along?
Overall, give me a subject I really like. I will study it for hours. Give me a subject I am bored in, like math.
Right.
You've got the wrong individual. Give me a subject like communications. You've got a smart aleck on your hands.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Just, it was hard for you to, want to work on those classes that you didn't find you didn't enjoy, you didn't like. So
it
that makes
was hard
sense.
for me. And because due to my disability, I really stuck out like a sore thumb because I needed aid in each of my high school classes, and I needed aid in my elementary school classes too.
Right.
And one day my mom showed up as my aide, and my friends go, "Why is your mom here?"
Was there, I mean, in your experience with school, was there any other kids with disabilities that were there a lot of kids with disabilities?
Yes. In
Okay.
elementary school, no.
Okay.
In high school, yes. Elementary school, no. How they set elementary school up for me is we as a family had to provide the one-on-one aid, and that wasn't cheap. And then
Right.
for the accessibility acts, for the accessibility purposes, they put a truck ramp and said, go up this truck ramp. We have nothing else to do. And beautiful campus, but not ADA.
Yeah.
And the services were not put in place. I mean, I know people in my life that battled for services in Colorado as special ed teachers, and they didn't receive what they wanted, and kids were struggling in Colorado. And I'm finding that Arizona has its challenges, but a lot less than Colorado.
Interesting. Yeah, that is kind of interesting because I know overall in Minnesota, I mean, I hear it's way better than a lot of states, but there's still things that need to be improved. So, but it is definitely different, like how one state, are better in certain areas than others for sure.
Yep.
So besides like schooling, were you always included, or was there? What did that look like? Non-school
Oh,
stuff.
I was always included. I am banging a drum about disabilities in churches. I
Okay,
was always included. I wasn't included necessarily in the Catholic Church, but I am now included in the Episcopalian Church. I
sure.
mean, the funny thing about me is I keep showing up, showing up, showing up until you have to do something with me,
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
I don't stop unless I don't like something, I keep showing up, showing up, showing up, and then I realize, like, okay, what are we gonna do with this brown-headed chatterbox that won't shut up about disabilities?
Yeah. So, where did you learn to advocate like that? Did you come from
My
your
mom,
parents or
my
how?
mom, my
Okay.
mom, my mom, my mom, my mom. My dad did digitally squat when it
Yeah.
came to advocacy. My mom did all my medical. My mom did every medical under the sun. My dad did the fun stuff like all dads do. Did the skiing, he did the soccer, he did yeah, and he paid for my first degree because my first college degree he paid for because my mom set a rule. She said, I got her through elementary school, you get her through college. I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's so you saw your mom advocating for you, and you learned a lot from her. That's great.
Yeah, I did.
So what kind of advocacy stuff have you done?
Oh, I host a podcast. I written books. I've done motivational speaking. I've spoken to the state of Arizona. I am on boards for all sorts of disability stuff.
Okay. Or do you advocate for like a wide range
I
of
advocate
different
for
things? Okay.
cerebral palsy. I advocate for mental illness. I
Sure.
advocate, plus, I have anxiety and depression too.
Okay.
So I have a hidden disability that I'm
Yep.
very, very public about because I'm trying to break the stigma of that.
Right. Yeah. So for me, my big issue is the inclusion piece. What is like the biggest issue surrounding like disability stuff that you advocate for?
Oh, not enough handicapped accessible doors and people parking in handicapped parking places when they don't need it
Yeah.
and running into stores for 5 minutes and not being kind and
Yeah.
slamming the doors in people's face and cutting. I'm dealing with one incident right now where I had a disabled friend get cut off as he was speaking. And
Hmm.
I've been talking to the individual who, by the time this comes out, that meeting will be over. I'm talking to the individual who cut that person off. And as I said at the beginning, and I believe this strongly, if your tagline in the Episcopal Church is all welcome, why are we cutting the disabled off?
Right.
Yeah, why are we cutting the disabled off?
Yeah. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and disabled like to go to church just as much as anyone else. Disabled like to play at the playground just as much as anyone else. Disabled like to go shopping just as much as anyone else.
Yeah. So what has your experience been regarding church?
Oh, I've got the God bless you.
Yeah.
I've got the um not open the handicapped doors until not open doors until I said something. We're finally putting handicapped doors in the church. I've seen it all.
Yeah. Have you had people like pray for you that you'd be healed?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got the God bless yous
Yeah.
and pray that you be healed. You can't heal anxiety and depression. You can't heal cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had God. I've had people say God bless you
Right.
on the bus, and I'm like, yeah, right. I just put my pants on the same way you do.
Yeah. So you said you live independently. Do you have like
I have
peop-
AIDS. Yes,
you have AIDS? Okay.
yes, I have AIDS, but I do live independently.
That's cool. So you said you live in a community for people with disabilities. Can you
Yes,
like talk a little bit more about what that looks like?
yeah.
Um, okay.
This community is, and if your listeners want to Google Luna Azul, Phoenix, Arizona, that's where I am.
Okay.
And so that is where I am. And so what it is a pocket community designed for all people with disabilities.
So it's when you say community, is it just like an apartment building, or it's like
It's
got
a
stores, everything,
it's
everything?
a condo complex.
Okay.
We all own condos in here.
Okay.
So yeah,
So is there like activities you guys get to do together in the community, like that kind of
yes,
stuff too? Okay.
yes, but it's all optional.
Okay. That's nice. Plus, you're in Arizona, so you don't get much snow, probably, huh?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Minnesota, and a lot of people from up here usually will go to Arizona or Florida for the winter. So that's a
Yep.
common place for people to escape Minnesota and go to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you said, did you say you skied when you were with your dad, or he
Yes.
was the one skiing? Okay,
Yes, I skied.
that's cool.
I was
Was
a
it
snowbird.
was like kind of like modified skis, or how did that work?
Walk on the skis, skied normally, and then
Okay.
snowboarded.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lived in Colorado, it's probably a good place to ski, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
I've been. What have I seen? I've seen like the ski resorts in Loveland. I think. Yeah, I've driven by those before when I
Well,
was out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Those are a lot bigger hills or bigger ski runs than we have in Minnesota. They're much
Oh, yeah.
taller.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw when I was reading through your stuff that you competed in a triathlon.
Triathlon.
Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get
Well,
into that and all that stuff?
I did it with a team, and I'm still trying to do it. Right now, I'm waiting to have knee surgery of all things.
Okay,
But so it's put a little damper on my life.
sure.
But I'm planning to compete in Kona again.
And is Kona the big one in Hawaii?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
I remember watching like triathlon when I was a kid in Hawaii. Is that probably the one they have on
yep,
used to have on TV?
yep,
Okay,
yep,
that's where you like run through the lava field or like the
yep.
lava. Okay,
Exactly,
yep,
exactly, exactly.
that's cool.
Yep.
So did you complete it or you just?
We ran it, but we didn't. I I wanted to complete it, but
Okay,
my teammate decided. My teammate, who happens to be my family member, decided to use me as tokenism and just
oh,
to get in the Kona I'm in.
that's no good.
No, No,
Wow.
I was trying to raise awareness for cerebral palsy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not cool.
Yeah.
When you're a speaker, so what do you have like a one speech you always give or
I give motivational speeches.
okay,
I tell people how to live a fabulous life with
sure.
a disability. I don't use my disability. People treat me as if I have a disability, and they treat me as I'm dumb, and they treat me, yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody has a disability, how can they achieve their dreams?
Oh, just pick the one gift that you're good at. Let's say you're good at motivational speaking. Practice, practice, practice. Get on other people's podcasts. Let's say you're good at poetry. Start writing poetry.
That's a great tip. Yeah, find something you're good at. That's a
Yeah.
great tip.
Use your gifts and talents. We all
Yeah,
have them.
right. How did you find your gifts and talents? Did somebody help you, or you just kind of discovered them yourself, or
I the reason why I wrote the books and the reason why I turned motivational speaker is because of my mom dying, and I watched her die, and then I decided to switch my career totally around and speak on her and speak on my life and rock on.
awesome? Yeah, I mean that sounds like a great motivation. I'm sorry
Yeah,
her passing caused that to happen, but
yeah,
it sounds like it was
but
a good motivator for you.
yeah, it was good motivator for me.
Yeah.
And moving is an excellent motivator too to
Yeah,
get
for sure.
the appropriate medical care. I had anxiety and anxiety and depression in 2010 after losing her, but
Right.
everyone said you're grieving, you're grieving, you're grieving. Finally,
Right.
on April 23rd, I had my anxiety attack after waking up from a 5.5 hour surgery, 5.5 hour surgery on my back, then getting yelled at by a George nurse who then said, "You got a phone call from Bahamas." Well, translation, my mom's family lives in Bahamas.
Okay.
And so that's why I got the phone call from the Bahamas. The Bahamas sent me into tears. The nurse said, "Shut up, you're scaring the other 40 patients." Yes, I was in the recovery room with 40 patients.
That's crazy.
And so, yes, I was in the recovery room with 40 patients. And so I was told, "No, you're not allowed visitors." Yes, I was. But I was I was scared half to death because I've never been yelled at when being woken up from surgery. I've always been told to wake up.
Right.
So, sweetly too. And so, post COVID care, not fun.
Yeah. How many surgeries have you had?
Over 100,
Wow.
over 100. And I had 101. I'm about to sign myself up for 102.
That's a lot.
Yep.
You said you also have a podcast. How long have you had a
I
podcast?
have been doing that for over 10 years.
Oh wow.
It's been 14 years.
So you must have started your podcast like when podcasts came out almost, or you had to been pretty
I
early.
started it after my mom died
Yeah.
because I wrote a book and then figured out how to market the book.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, talk a little bit about your book. What who should buy it? What is
Well,
it?
I
What's
have
in it?
11 books out
Yeah.
there,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
if you really want a dose of cerebral palsy, my book is called "I Come a Win," and it will educate you briefly on cerebral palsy.
There you go. That's awesome. How many episodes have you recorded for your podcast?
Over 1,500.
Holy cow. That's a lot.
Yep, it's an interview-based show.
That's great. I mean, I can tell from the brief time I've known you that you like to talk, so I guess that makes sense.
Yep, yep. They can't shut me up. No, unless I'm really, really sick or
Yeah.
really, really down, they can't shut me up. No, believe it or not, I learned how to speak on the East Coast with one of the top speech pathologists in the country out of UVA, and so the plane ride up, I can speak at all. The plane ride down, they can shut me up. So I did an intensive in speech
Okay.
for a week.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 3.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
before that you couldn't speak? Or you
I
didn't speak?
couldn't speak. I was nonverbal.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So
What do you do for fun?
listen to music, listen to audiobooks,
Okay.
li- just inspire people.
There you go. What kind of music do you like?
I like it all. I was exposed to it all over the years.
Do you go to concerts?
I haven't been to a concert since the pandemic.
Okay.
I haven't been to a live show since the pandemic.
Yeah. When you went to concerts before that, how did you find the accessibility and stuff?
It's always been interesting. It's always been a challenge, but I managed to do I managed to do the challenging aspects to get things done. I'm a carrot and stick person.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. My daughter, she loves music, so we go to concerts, and I always call there to find out about the accessible seats and just make sure, what it's going to be like, because I don't like showing up to places and you can't figure out how to
Nope.
get in there, or the
Nope.
seats aren't very nice and all that
Nope.
stuff. So
Nope. We have, and that's another tip. You can always call places
Yep.
and say, "Look, I'm bringing a person with a disability. What's your disability aspect?"
Yeah, for sure. What is one tip you can share with the listeners today, how they can be more inclusive?
Oh, not talk to the aides.
Yeah.
Talk to humans. Talk to the disabled. Not talk to the aides.
Yeah. Yeah, that's come up with me, or that's come up for us before, and also other people I've talked to. Yeah, where they talk to the aides or who's somebody that's with you and not you directly. So that's definitely.
Yep.
Wow.
Don't talk to the aides.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't discussed?
My emotional and physical abuse that happened in 2019. I'll give you the brief story on that. A family member emotionally and physically abused me because they didn't like my care. And so my big thing is it can happen to anyone. The aides don't do it. The aides don't do it. Coming from an agency standpoint, these aides are supposed to get background checked. So aides won't learn to fly unless they're really stupid and want to get fired from their job, which I've been known to fire aides from their jobs.
Right.
Because I don't like how they treat me.
Right. So did you say it was an aide that abused you or not?
No, it was a family
okay.
member.
Okay.
Aide stood watching the family member, though, and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything, and 2 family members abused me. My mom's sisters. My godmother abused me. My godmother was the abuser. She had an accomplice with her. My mom's other sister egged her on, didn't say anything. I finally had to report it to a counselor, who's a mandatory reporter. And
Right.
then they called Adult Protective Services, and it was a interesting show. After that, my aunt has a record against her.
So do you have any tips for people on how to, I mean, you can't, I
Prevent
guess,
abuse.
yeah, I mean, is there like, do you have any tips on how people can, prevent abuse or help
Um,
prevent it?
Say something.
Right. Yep.
Say something. Don't just stand there.
Right.
Don't just stand there. If you see a whacking kid and restraining the kid, say something. Police or mandatory reporters, counselors or mandatory reporters, social workers or mandatory reporters, depending on the case. Aides who don't do it are mandatory reporters. And yeah,
Yeah.
so just say something. Tell people. And this talk to strangers thing is for the birds. This don't talk to strangers thing is
Right.
for the birds. You as a disabled individual could call the state and say XYZ's abusing me.
Yeah.
Anyone could call the state. And if your loved one is in a nursing home, make sure you go visit them at least once a week. Because the nursing homes will lie between the skin of the teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great tip too. Just to go there and visit, check
Yeah,
in, see if there's something that doesn't seem right.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry that happened to you.
That's okay. It happened 5 years ago now. So
Okay. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about we haven't talked about?
no.
No? Ready for the last question?
Yep.
Do you like spam, yes or no?
Do I like spam? I've only had it once, and it's interesting.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
So is that a yes or a no? Would you eat
Yes,
it, I
sir.
guess?
Would I eat it if I didn't have a choice? Yes.
If you didn't have a choice.
Yes, I would. I eat exotic stuff all the time. People look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, I ask all my guests that question. I live in Austin, Minnesota, where they make spam and where the spam museum's at. So if you ever want to visit the spam museum, you got to come to
I love
where
it.
I live.
I
So,
love it. I love it.
well, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
WinandLifePodcast.webelize.com.
Okay,
And yeah, all the podcasts could be found on all players. And yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
thank you.
To all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Inclusive Dad Podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, rate, or review the show. Your feedback helps us connect with more champions of inclusion. Remember to share this podcast with friends and family who might benefit. If you want to support us in our mission, please click on the link in the show description. Together we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.